So we're back with another China Traffic Diaries. One of my comments, and something that I have wanted to talk about and really haven't too much, the uprisings, the riots that have been happening a lot in China. You know, they seem to be happening a lot more and more frequently. And is that a good thing or a bad thing? Well, I think, of course, if you're, anti-CCP, then these uprisings, you would say, are a good thing. But I think that they're a result of a lot of bad things. And what I mean by that, of course, is Chinese people are rioting because they're losing money, they're losing wealth, they're losing freedoms. And it's finally time that, there are groups of people. So they're small groups of people. They're not very big riots. They're not big enough that it'll ever really change anything at this point. But there's nothing wrong with, these protests, because I wouldn't necessarily call them riots per se either. I think if you call them riots, then it kind of gives an excuse to the shills to be like, they're just rioting, they're just breaking stuff. But no, these are protests. They have actual reasons to be doing these types of things. And again, if you went to the bank and all of your money was gone, you would be pretty upset too. If your civil rights were being taken more day by day, you would get more and more upset day by day. It's a natural human reaction by these people, and they're just starting to realize that they've been getting screwed for a long time by their government, right? And now that they're actually starting to fight back a little bit, again, not changing the world here for sure yet, it is helpful. People have got to exercise their freedoms. They've got to exercise their freedoms, to feel confident in using those freedoms when they matter the most. You see, Americans, we exercise our freedoms every day. We use those freedoms. We brag about those freedoms. We enjoy those freedoms. So when we have an opportunity to prove the point of those freedoms, we will go out of our way to do so. If the American government tomorrow tried to enslave us all, even the most anti-gun people would rise up, They may not rise up with guns, but I'm sure a lot of them would. And we do have that here, and that is another major difference of China, of them not having any way to really defend themselves. And we have seen the history of Tank Man and what you can and cannot do in China as a Chinese citizen and get away with, which is very little. Like it or not, we literally had people running around invading a building dressed up as like a buffalo guy or whatever. You could never do something like that in China. They wouldn't even let you get close enough, because they're so used to being in protection mode all the time that the Chinese government is just scared. They're afraid. They're worried. And I do believe that one of the reasons China has been reacting the way that it's been reacting lately is because of that. I do believe that the Chinese government has lost a little bit of control in certain situations, in certain senses. Do I think that, Chinese people are about to take over? No, I don't believe that. I still believe that we're a long ways away from a Chinese uprising and fighting against the Chinese government, unfortunately. But I do believe as time goes on, as time progresses, the word of how Chinese people are getting screwed will become more and more. Because of the internet, I do believe that as much as you try to block the internet, I do believe that the word of freedom will get out there to Chinese people more and more. Chinese people, as they get richer, will travel. They will see the world more, and they will begin to understand that they're one of the countries that have the lesser freedoms. And I say that confidently, even knowing that, even just on one of my last videos, you know, we talked about a comment where somebody was just so brainwashed and confused that they thought that we were literally banned from using TikTok here in America. You know, it's that situation of where it's true. There's a lot of still brainwashed Chinese people, but at the same time, there's more and more Chinese people that are becoming aware than ever. You know, again, social media, internet type stuff, people are going to become more and more aware as they travel abroad. Now, there will be one of two things that I think will happen. In my opinion, the unfortunate truth is that I think that the Chinese government will eventually be forced into relaxing some rules and things. I believe that they will be forced into bending a little. And I think that the Chinese government should learn that you can bend a little, that governments can bend a little and not break, that just because you give the people a little bit more doesn't mean that you as a government necessarily lose power, you know. But the question is, will that happen through the Chinese government? I would like to be positive and think so, but it probably won't. Or the second option, of course, is will the Chinese people again uprise and go against the government to the point to where you've got 50 million people that are in the streets and everything becomes uncontrollable. Because even though Chinese people don't have guns, they do have knives, they've got weapons, and if enough of them were to stand outside in Beijing, if enough of them did that, they would force the government to either break or bend. And unfortunately, the Chinese government would probably break. They would probably just break and pull out the tanks and start running people over again. They probably wouldn't just decide to change. And then, of course, they would turn on their own people and kill their own people, since they already have a history of doing that anyways. You know, that's the unfortunate truth. So do I think that these uprisings, these riots, these protests is what they really are? Do I think that they're of importance? I think so, but I think that there's still a lot more time needed before we see some real results for the freedoms of China and its people. And that's the unfortunate truth, because I still have a lot of family in China, people that I care about, you know, friends and family that, you know, really suffer under the rule of CCP. And, you know, there's a lot of people that don't even know that they're suffering. But, you know, most of my family realizes it and knows it, but there's just nothing they can do. So that's how I feel about the subject. Like, comment, subscribe, and have a good day.